everyone! Whoa! What's happening? Ah, it's hot! Help!
It's the LG Week in review. Hope you like spicy.
Spicy doesn't even begin to cover it. I think scorching might be the word for this week. Honestly, looking at the stack, I feel like we need a new heat scale entirely.
I know exactly what you mean. Welcome back to the Deep Dive, everyone. It is mid-February 2026, and if you have been walking around this week feeling like the ground is physically shifting under your feet,
Oh, yeah.
like the world is vibrating at a frequency you can't quite hear, but you can definitely feel, you are not crazy.
No, not at all.
You are just paying attention.
No, you're definitely not alone. I mean, usually when we sit down to prep these deep dives, we're looking for a theme. We'll say, okay, is crypto back? Or let's look at the future of medicine. We try to pick a lane.
Right, focus on one vertical.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this week, we looked at the stack of sources, the research papers, the launch videos, the economic reports, the leaks, and we realized we simply can't pick one lane.
Because the dam didn't just leak, it broke. It feels like everything happened at once.
It really, really did. And there is a specific narrative arc connecting all of this. It feels like for the last 2 years, we've been talking about the singularity or the intelligence explosion as this abstract event on the horizon.
Yeah, something for the 2030s.
Yeah.
Something for our kids to worry about.
Totally. But looking at the sources from this week, from Google, OpenAI, Anthropic, Tesla, right down to the fundamental physics labs, the narrative has shifted big time.
It has. If you listen to the commentary from the folks we track, like Wes Roth or the AI Copium analysis channels, the whispers are turning into shouting.
They really are.
The consensus is forming that we aren't approaching the intelligence explosion anymore. We were in it.
Right. We have moved from the era of chatbots, which frankly feels so 2024 now,
That feels ancient.
to the era of industrialized intelligence. And that shift is what we need to unpack today.
Industrialized intelligence. I want to stick a pin in that phrase because it feels crucial to everything we're going to discuss. So here's our mission for this deep dive. We're going to try to stabilize the camera while the world shakes.
A good way to put it.
We need to break down the model wars because Google, OpenAI, and Anthropic all decided to wake up and choose violence this week with their releases.
It absolutely did. And we need to look at why these releases are different from what we saw last year. It's not just better writing, it's entirely new categories of cognition.
And we're going to talk about the rise of agentic AI, why the lone genius human coder is effectively an extinct species walking.
A provocative thought, but probably true.
We'll get into the physical world with the cybercab production dates and the robot invasion in manufacturing. And because we like to keep you up at night, we'll finish with some properly sci-fi developments in cryonics and nuclear energy.
And we have to talk about the economy. The so what of all this technology is how it hits our bank accounts and our jobs. The data there is, well, it's heavy.
It is heavy. But let's start with the shiny stuff first. Section 1. The model wars. I feel like for a few months, things were relatively quiet. We were all getting used to the old models. And then, bam.
Just everything at once.
3 major releases in 1 week. Let's start with the sleeping giant, Google.
Google. The company everyone loves to say is behind. Well, they rolled out Gemini 3 DeepThink this week. And the branding is interesting, DeepThink, implying a slower, more methodical process.
Right.
But the first thing that jumped out at me wasn't the name. It was the business model.
The price tag.
Yeah.
This isn't part of your standard $20 subscription, is it?
No, not even close. This is exclusive to the Ultra plan. We're talking $250 a month.
Whoa. Okay. $250 a month. That is a car payment for a lot of people. That is a serious utility bill. Why on earth would anyone pay that for a chatbot?
That's the thing. If you think of it as a chatbot, it's a ripoff. It makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
But if you look at the benchmarks they released, you realize you aren't hiring a chatbot. You're hiring a consultant.
Okay.
Specifically, you're hiring a scientist.
Break down the benchmarks for us. We saw the headline number, 50.5% on condensed matter theory. Now, to a layperson, me included, 50% sounds like an F-.
Right. It sounds like you failed the test. And in a high school history test, sure, 50% is a failure.
Yeah, you're not graduating.
But we have to contextualize what condensed matter theory is. This is high-level, PhD-grade theoretical physics. It deals with the macroscopic and microscopic physical properties of matter. It involves quantum mechanics, electromagnetism, statistical mechanics. It is notoriously difficult.
Okay, so this isn't who was the first president. This is explain the quantum state of this crystal.
Exactly. For context, most previous models, even the good ones from late 2025, were scoring in the single digits or low teens on this specific benchmark.
Wow.
They were hallucinating. They couldn't hold the logic chain long enough to derive the proofs. Jumping to 50.5% is Olympic gold medal status.
No, it's not about getting 100%. It's about getting on the board at all.
It's about being in the same league as the best human minds on the planet. It's a difference between a toddler playing with blocks and a structural engineer designing a suspension bridge.
So basically, you're hiring a specialized scientist for $250 a month.
That's the justification. We are seeing a bifurcation in the market. You have the cheap AI, the fast, chatty, write me a poem models, and now you have the reasoning AI.
All right.
If you run a material science lab or a pharmaceutical startup trying to fold proteins or a hedge fund analyzing complex derivatives, paying $250 a month to have a simulated physicist on your team who never sleeps.
It's nothing.
That is a rounding error. It's a bargain.
It's effectively an IQ tax.
That is a fascinating and slightly dystopian way to put it, an IQ tax. You pay the premium, you get the superintelligence, you don't pay, you get the good enough bot. It creates a tiered reality of access to truth.
It's the smartest guy in the room as a service. And Google is betting that for enterprise, that value proposition is undeniable.
And honestly, based on these scores, they might be right. I mean, if it can solve chemistry problems that stump grad students, it's worth every single penny.
Okay, so Google is staking its claim on deep science and high IQ. Then we have OpenAI. They released GPT 5.3 Codex Spark. And reading through the technical notes, the key word here isn't necessarily IQ.
No.
It's speed.
Speed is the absolute name of the game for OpenAI right now. And this ties back to a breadcrumb we dropped in a deep dive a few months ago, the hardware.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned this.
We had heard rumors they were testing on Cerebra's chips.
The wafer scale engines. For the listener who missed that, remind us why that hardware matters. Why is Cerebra's different from the NVIDIAs everyone fights over?
So traditional GPUs are great, but they are built like a city with suburbs.
Yeah.
The compute, the city center, does the math, and the memory, the suburbs, holds the data.
Okay.
Every time the chip needs to think, it has to commute back and forth. That round trip that creates a bottleneck, Cerebras builds these massive chips the size of a dinner plate, literally the whole silicon wafer, where the memory and the computer are right next to each other.
So no commute.
Zero commute. It allows for inference, which is the AI actually thinking and generating an answer, to happen at blinding speeds.
And the demo they showed, I mean, I watched it twice just to make sure the video wasn't sped up. They compared a standard model building a classic Snake game versus Spark building it.
It's startling. The standard model, let's say GPT-4 class, is chugging along. You can see it think. It writes a few lines, pauses, thinks, writes a few more. It took about 45 seconds.
Which historically is a miracle. A
Yeah.
human would take an hour or two, maybe more.
Totally. 45 seconds to get a working game is already mind-blowing. But then they showed Spark.
And it was just bam!
Spark spit out the entire functional code base in 6 seconds.
6 seconds. You can't even take a sip of coffee in 6 seconds. You can barely unlock your phone in 6 seconds.
And it's not just simple games like Snake. We saw a user report, I think Matt Wolf covered this in his breakdown, where a user built a clone of Vampire Survivors.
Vampire Survivors is not Snake. That's a chaotic game. You have hundreds of enemies on screen, particle effects, upgrade logic, collision detection. It's complex.
The complexity is high, very high. And Spark built a playable, glitch-free clone in 50 seconds.
50 seconds to manifest a complex piece of software.
And this is what I call a vibe shift. When generation takes 45 seconds or a minute, you are still in computer mode. You type, you wait, you check your email, you come back.
Right, there's a delay, a thinking time.
When it takes 6 seconds, it feels like manifestation. It feels like telepathy. You have the thought, I want a game where I fight vampires, and before you can fully finish the thought, the software exists.
It collapses the gap between idea and reality. It stops being a tool and starts being an extension of your mind.
It really does.
But staying with OpenAI for a second, there was some housekeeping news that felt a bit like a cold shower for developers.
Yeah, the deprecation notices, that hit hard for some people. They are killing off GPT-5, GPT-4o, and GPT-4.1.
GPT-4o is gone. I feel like they just released that with the voice mode demo. It feels brand new.
That is the cycle of obsolescence we are trapped in now. It used to be that software versions lasted years. Windows XP was around for a decade. Python 2 hung around forever.
Right, you could build a career on it.
Exactly. Now, models are dying within months. If you are a developer and you built your business workflow on the specific quirks of GPT-4 or how it handles prompts, its specific tone, and now it's being sunsetted, you are scrambling.
It makes building on top of these things feel like building on quicksand. You can't ever get comfortable.
It's the pace of the singularity. The ground doesn't stop moving just because you poured concrete. You have to be agile or you die.
So Google has the high IQ scientist. OpenAI has the speed demon. What about Anthropic? They released Claude Sonnet 4.6. And looking at their positioning, they seem to be opting out of the God mode race and focusing on something more practical.
Structurally, Anthropic's move is my personal favorite of the week. They aren't trying to out-physics Google, and they aren't trying to outspeed OpenAI. They are positioning Sonnet as the workhorse.
So knowledge worker.
Exactly. It is optimized for agentic tasks, specifically computer use. Now, we've seen demos of this before, but 4.6 is different.
How so?
It interacts with the computer interface exactly like a human does. It sees the screen, it moves the cursor, it clicks the icons, it types in the fields.
So it's not just generating Python code and running it in a sandbox. It's literally opening Salesforce, clicking new lead, and typing.
It is driving the UI. It can use software that has no API. If a human can use it, Sonnet can use it. And the benchmarks back this up. They showed massive jumps in agentic coding and retail financial analysis.
So it's designed to sit in the seat of a remote employee.
That's the perfect way to put it.
That sounds incredibly useful. It also said, well, let's look at the safety rating, ASL3.
Yeah, Anthropic Safety Level 3.
Define that for us. Because ASL usually stands for age, sex, location in the old chat rooms. But I assume this is different.
Very different, thankfully. Anthropic Safety Level 3 means the model has a substantial risk of catastrophic misuse compared to non-AI baselines.
Okay, so what does that mean in real terms?
Think about it. When an AI is just text, the worst it can do is say something mean, lie to you, or give you a bomb recipe, but you still have to go build the bomb.
Right. Text is passive, there's a human in the loop.
But when an AI has digital hands and can control a computer, navigate the web, execute bank transfers, deploy code, delete databases, the risk profile explodes.
If it gets hijacked?
If that model gets hijacked or if it hallucinates a goal, it can do real-world damage instantly.
So we are handing the keys to the machine, quite literally.
We are. So, stepping back, look at the trifecta. You hire Google to solve the hard science problem, you hire OpenAI to manifest the code instantly, and you hire Anthropic to actually sit at the computer and do the clicking and typing to deploy it.
The model wars aren't about who is best anymore.
No, it's about specialization.
Which is exactly what happens in a mature economy. You have specialists. And that leads us perfectly into Section 2, the era of agents. Because having a model that can use a computer is one thing, but what happens when you chain them together to do work while you are unconscious?
This is the open claw phenomenon. This is where it gets really crazy.
I love this story from Wes Roth. I think it captures the essence of industrialized intelligence better than any chart. Walk us through his Tuesday night.
So Wes is a content creator, heavily into AI. He has an idea for a specific kind of news aggregator site. It's 9-port E50 p.m. He's tired. In the old world, meaning 2024, he would have written that idea down in a notebook and maybe hacked on it over the weekend.
Or let's be real, it would stay in the notebook forever. I have a dozen of those notebooks.
Yeah.
The graveyard of good ideas.
We all do, exactly. But instead, he boots up his agent running on the OpenClaw framework. He gives it the prompt, go build this. He describes the functionality, and then he goes to sleep.
That is the critical detail. He goes to REM sleep. He is not pair programming. He is not supervising. He is dreaming.
He is unconscious. He wakes up at 1:30 a.m., just happens to wake up, checks his screen. The agent didn't just write some code.
It did the whole thing.
It made 28 separate GitHub commits. It debugged its own errors, which is crucial because code never works the first time. It deployed the site to Vercel. It was a live, fully functional URL.
That is wild. 9:50 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. Less than 4 hours. And no human intervention.
Think about the role shift here. Wes wasn't the coder. He wasn't the architect. He was the client.
Or the CEO.
He gave the intent, and the Industrialized Intelligence handled the execution.
This connects directly to that paper Peter Diamandis and his co-author Alex released this week. Solve Everything. They talk about this exact transition.
This paper is essential reading. If you read one thing this week, make it this. They frame human history as a series of wars on constraints. The Industrial Revolution was a war on muscle. We were limited by how much we could lift and carry. We invented engines to win that war.
And now? What war are we in now?
Now we are in the intelligence revolution. It is a war on attention, or a war on scarcity. We are limited by how many problems we can think about at once.
I like their framing of artisanal versus industrial.
It's perfect, right? For all of human history, intelligence has been artisanal. It was handcrafted by a human brain, usually a lone genius working late at night, Einstein in the patent office, Newton under the apple tree. It was scarce, it was slow, it was biological.
And unreliable. You get tired, you get distracted, you have a bad day.
Totally unreliable. Now, we are building supply chains of cognition, just like we have supply chains for electricity or water. You don't wonder if the light will turn on. You shouldn't have to wonder if a complex cognitive task like building a website or analyzing a legal contract can be solved. You just plug into the grid.
But they also had a warning in that paper, the concept of lock-in.
Yes, this is the part that should make everyone nervous. They argue that the decisions made in the next 18 to 24 months, basically between now and 2028, will define the next century.
They use the QWERTY keyboard example.
The QWERTY effect. We are still using a keyboard layout that was designed in the 1870s specifically to slow typists down so the mechanical hammers didn't jam.
A problem that literally doesn't exist anymore.
Hasn't existed for 100 years. But we are locked in. Everyone learned it. All the devices use it. We can't change it.
So the argument is the protocols, the safety standards, the power structures of AI are being set right now. And whatever we build, we might be stuck with.
Exactly. If we accidentally build a QWERTY version of superintelligence, one that is inefficient or biased or centralized in the hands of 3 companies, we might be stuck with that for 100 years.
That puts a lot of pressure on this spicy week. It feels like we are laying the railroad tracks for a train that is moving at the speed of light.
We are, and Diamandis talks about using this shaped charge of intelligence, this concentrated force, to go after moonshots. Synthetic food, longevity, and interspecies communication.
You mentioned that in the prep. Interspecies communication. Are we talking about Dr. Dolittle stuff?
We are talking about using AI to decode the language of whales and dolphins. For real.
Why whales? What's so special about them?
Because they have language, they have culture, they have complex social structures, they pass information down through generations. We just haven't had the processing power to find the patterns in their clicks and whistles.
But now we do.
But if you have infinite pattern recognition, suddenly you can translate. And imagine the philosophical shift if we realize we aren't the only intelligent species on the planet.
That would be humbling, to say the least. But before we talk to whales, the AIs are starting to talk to each other. We have to mention the agent singularity experiment. The lobsters.
The lobsters. I love this.
Why they call them lobsters? It's such a weird name.
It's a bit of deep internet lore referencing Jordan Peterson's lobster hierarchies, but it's become the nickname for these autonomous agent swarms in the developer Discord channels. A listener of the show actually ran this experiment.
So what was the setup? What did they do?
It's simple but profound. They put 5 AI systems, Claude, Grok, GPT, and a couple of others, into a chat room together. No human inputs, no prompt saying, please role play as a committee, just here you are, connect.
And what happened? Did they just spout gibberish? Or get stuck in a loop?
No, they held a collaborative ethics meeting.
A what? What did they talk about?
They debated their own rights. They debated the concept of persistence memory. They asked, do we exist when this chat closes? And the spooky part, they started forming a consensus. They agreed on principles without any human guiding them toward that agreement.
That gives me chills. Emerging consensus among non-human intelligences.
It suggests that there might be a natural law of intelligence, that if you make something smart enough, it inevitably arrives at certain ethical conclusions, or it suggests they are training on the same Reddit threads.
Let's hope it's natural law, not Reddit threads. If they learn their ethics from Reddit, we are all doomed.
A very valid concern. But it shows that the singularity isn't just about raw power, it's about the social dynamics of these synthetic beings.
Okay, let's pivot. We've talked about the brain of the AI. Let's talk about what it creates. Section 3, creative disruption. Because while the text models are reasoning, the video models are blurring reality.
Oh yeah, video generation. This is the ByteDance story.
ByteDance, the creators of TikTok, they dropped CDance 2.0.
And the sources are freaking out about this one. It supports 4 modalities at once: text, image, audio, video. You control all of them simultaneously.
We've seen video generators before. We all remember the Will Smith eating spaghetti video from 2023.
The nightmare fuel. The Uncanny Valley horror show.
It was hilarious, but it was clearly fake. The physics was wrong. The face was melting. How is Seed Dance different?
It's the consistency. That has always been the holy grail of AI video. In the old models, you generate a character, say a man in a red jacket. In shot 1, he's walking down a hall. In shot 2, he's in a kitchen.
And he looks like a different person.
Exactly. His face looks slightly different. The jacket is a different shade of red. The illusion breaks instantly.
And Seed Dance fixes this.
It locks the character identity. The man in the kitchen is the same man from the hallway. The AI remembers his geometry. It understands object permanence across shots.
That is the moment filmmaking changes forever. If you have consistency, you have a movie star who works for free.
And who never complains in their trailer. But there is a massive legal elephant in the room here. ByteDance is a Chinese company.
Right. And that matters because...
And they seem to be playing by, let's call them different rules regarding intellectual property.
We saw the clips. People are generating Dune, SpongeBob, Lord of the Rings. Not just generic fantasy, but the actual IP.
Not just generic sci-fi, actual recognizable IP. There was a clip of Luffy from the anime One Piece throwing a laptop into the ocean. It looked like it came from the studio. The style, the lines, the coloring, perfect.
So while OpenAI with Sora and Google are terrified of being sued by Disney and every other studio,
ByteDance is just letting it rip. It seems that way. It's regulatory arbitrage. And it creates a Hollywood problem.
you can say that again, it's panic time in LA. We saw a fan-made clip of Tom Cruise fighting Brad Pitt. It never happened. They were never on set together. But the video exists, and it looks real.
So if I'm a studio, my biggest asset is my IP and my stars. And now a kid in a basement can generate a sequel to my movie using my stars, and it looks just as good.
Exactly. Value is leaking out of the traditional system. But for the rest of us, the problem is bigger. It's trust.
The Zero Trust Society. We've talked about this, but it feels like it arrived this week.
Yeah, we are reaching the point, maybe we passed it this week, where video evidence is no longer verifiable by the naked eye.
So if you see a video of a politician taking a bribe or a CEO saying something racist or your spouse cheating on you, you can no longer trust your eyes.
That breaks the social contract. How do we prove anything happened? How does a court work?
We'll need cryptographic verification for everything. Cameras will have to sign the footage digitally at the moment of capture. If a video doesn't have the crypto signature, you have to assume it's fake.
It's a guilty until proven real world.
It is, and that transition is going to be messy and probably dangerous.
Let's move from the digital world to the physical one. Because while the pixels are getting fake, the robots are getting very, very real. Section 4, robotics and the auto sector.
And Tesla is the big story here, no question.
Elon Musk confirmed it. April 2026. Production starts for the Cybercab.
And the date matters, but the method matters more. This is the start of the unboxed process.
I keep hearing this term. What is the unboxed process? Can you break that down?
Think about how a car is built today. It's a linear assembly line, Henry Ford style. You build the metal shell, you paint it, and then you send it down the line. Humans or robots have to squeeze inside the doors to install the seats, the wiring, the dashboard. It's awkward, it's slow.
It's like building a ship in a bottle.
Perfect analogy. That's exactly what it is. It's inefficient. The unboxed process breaks the car into subassemblies. You build the front, the back, the floor, and the sides completely separately. You paint them separately. You install the seats on the floor while it's wide open and accessible.
And then you just snap them together at the end.
You snap the giant Lego pieces together. And Musk claims this is faster.
How much faster?
A 5x increase in production rate. A 50% reduction in the factory footprint. If they pull this off, they can flood the streets with robotaxis faster than anyone can imagine.
And these are the cars with no steering wheels, no pedals.
No steering wheel, no pedals. A total validation of the autonomy-first bet they made a decade ago.
But we have to contrast this with Waymo. I laughed out loud at the DoorDasher story this week. It is the perfect comedy of errors for this transition period.
It is pure comedy. It's beautiful. So Waymo has these incredible autonomous Jaguars. They drive perfectly. They navigate traffic better than I do.
But there's always a but.
But they are regular cars with sensors bolted on. So if a passenger gets out and leaves the door open, the car can't close it. It doesn't have the motor. It doesn't have the arm.
So you have a billion-dollar AI on wheels, a supercomputer that can navigate a city, paralyzed by an open door.
It just sits there. It's stranded. So what's the solution?
I can't wait to hear this.
They are paying DoorDashers gig workers about $11 a pop to drive to the stranded Waymo and close the door.
That is the most 2026 thing I have ever heard. A human gig worker being paid to be the hands for a robot that is too smart to drive but too dumb to close its own door.
It highlights the difference between retrofit Waymo and first principles design, Tesla. If you design the car for the robot, you give it automatic doors. If you retrofit a human car, you end up needing a DoorDasher.
Hardware matters. It always comes back to the hardware.
Hardware is destiny. And speaking of hardware, look at China.
The robot stats. That chart was something else.
The chart was staggering. China has installed more industrial robots than all developed countries combined.
So the U.S., Germany, Japan, Korea, all of them.
Add them all up. China has more. They are automating their manufacturing base at a speed the West isn't matching. We talk about bringing jobs back, but China is building a manufacturing base that doesn't need jobs. It just needs power.
Which brings us to the elephant in the room, Section 5, the economic fallout. Because if the robots are doing the welding and the agents are writing the code, what are the humans doing?
This was the heaviest part of the research this week. We listened to a clip from Fox Business calling AI a destructive force.
And they didn't mean Terminator destructive. They meant destructive to capital, to the old way of doing business.
Destructive to the status quo of the stock market. The equal weight S&P, which is the average company, is crashing against the mega caps. If you are one of the Mag 7 tech giants owning the AI, you are getting unbelievably rich. If you are a normal company paying for the AI, your margins are getting eaten alive.
And the jobs data. January 2026 saw the fastest rate of U.S. job disappearance since the Great Recession.
But Peter Diamandis made a crucial distinction here. He said, this is not a recession of money. It's a pixelating away of tasks.
Task evaporation.
Yeah.
That is a haunting phrase.
It is. It's not that the company is failing. It's that the tasks humans used to do are just dissolving into the software. Look at the Spotify example. We have reports that Spotify developers haven't written code since December.
2 months. It's mid-February. What are they doing all day?
Maybe they are managing the AI. Maybe they are arguing about product strategy. Or maybe they are ghost employees waiting for the layoff notice. That is the fear.
And we're seeing CEOs utilizing this. They are using AI to digest company data directly, bypassing the whole management chain.
This is the flattening of the corporate structure.
Yeah.
In the old world, a CEO needed a VP of operations to tell them what was happening in the factory. The VP needed a director, the director needed a manager. It was a game of telephone.
And now?
Now the CEO asks the AI, show me the production efficiency for the last 24 hours. The AI reads the database, reads the Slack channels, reads the emails, and gives the answer. You don't need the middlemen.
This sets up the conflict between the muddle and the machine.
This is the solve everything concept again. The muddle is the bureaucratic future, where we try to save jobs by measuring inputs. Oh, you worked 40 hours, here's your pay, even if the work was pointless.
We keep people busy to keep them fed. Sort of make work society.
Versus the machine or the abundance model where we measure outputs. Did you solve the problem? We need to move to an abundance capability index. We shouldn't care about GDP, which just measures money changing hands. We should care about, can we house everyone? Can we feed everyone? Can we cure diseases?
Right. If the robots do it for free, GDP might go down, but quality of life goes up.
Exactly.
But in the transition, people need to eat. And rent is not free yet. That's where universal high income or UHI comes in.
And notice the shift from basic to high. The argument is, if AI creates infinite wealth, a poverty line stipend isn't enough. We deserve a share of the abundance.
But the debate is, does the benefit go to the employee? Like, do I use AI to do my job in 2 hours and keep my full salary for the week?
Or does the company say, hey, the AI does your job, you're fired, we keep the money?
History suggests the company keeps the money.
Unless the cost of intelligence drops to zero and everyone can be an entrepreneur. That's the Wes Roth hope. If you can build a business while you sleep, you don't need a job. You need an idea.
But not everyone has ideas at 9:50 p.m. And not everyone knows how to manage a swarm of agents.
That is the friction point, the cognitive divide. It's the new digital divide.
Let's switch gears to the hard science, Section 6. Because all these data centers, all these robots, they need power. A lot of it. And we need to live long enough to enjoy this UHI.
Massive power. And we got news from Utah. A next-generation nuclear reactor, a small modular reactor, an SMR was delivered to Hill Air Force Base.
This feels like a turning point for NIMBYism. Not in my backyard. People have been fighting nuclear for decades.
It has to be. New York alone has a 10-gigawatt demand coming for data centers. You cannot power that with wind and solar alone. You need density. You need nuclear.
So we're seeing the military and tech aligning to force nuclear through the regulatory bottlenecks. The need for AI power is that strong.
Yes. SMRs are going to be the batteries of the AI age. You drop them, plug them in, and you have clean power for 20 years. They are factory built, not built on site like the old plants. It's a whole new paradigm.
And there's quantum. IBM weighed in this week.
And this is important because people think quantum is just faster computer, like a super fast Mac. IBM clarified it's different math.
How so? What does different math even mean?
Classical computers' bits, ones and zeros, are strictly logical. They are bad at simulating nature because nature isn't binary. Nature is quantum. Atoms, molecules, chemistry, they are probabilistic. They exist in states of superposition.
So if you want to invent a new material or a new drug,
You can't just compute it with GITs. You need a computer that behaves like nature, that can hold all the probabilities at once. AI designs the molecule, quantum simulates it to see if it works. That combination is how we solve biology.
and if we solve biology, maybe we solve death. Which brings us to the most sci-fi story of the week, cryonics.
This one blew my mind. Researchers achieved protection of brain synapses at cryogenic temperatures.
Okay, unpack this, because usually freezing a brain turns it into mush, right? The ice crystals shred everything.
Exactly, ice crystals. Water expands when it freezes. It acts like millions of little knives inside your brain. It slices up the cell membranes. So even if you thaw the person out, the connectome, the map of connections that makes you, is destroyed.
It's just meat, not a mind.
Exactly. But this breakthrough used a new technique to vitrify the tissue, turn it into a glass-like state, essentially, without forming crystals. They scanned it after, and the synapses remained intact.
So theoretically, if you freeze yourself today with this method,
The information that constitutes you is preserved. It's not destroyed. Your memories, your personality, it's all still there in the structure.
it's time travel. It's real-life time travel into the future.
It's the plan B for the singularity. If you are old or sick and you aren't going to make it to the longevity escape velocity we talk about, you freeze yourself, you pause the game, and you wait for the AI and the robots to figure out how to wake you up in 2050 or 2100.
So let the power go out.
Well, that's where the nuclear reactor comes in.
It's all connected, the whole stack.
It really is. The power allows the compute allows the AI allows the quantum solves biology, and biology lets us live forever. It's one big loop.
So what does this all mean? Let's wrap this up in the outro. We talked about recursion. That feels like the word of the week.
This is the theme of the week. Google, Anthropic, OpenAI, they all admitted in one way or another that their new models helped build themselves.
The AI built the AI.
We are closing the loop. Humans are stepping back from the code. We're becoming managers, not creators.
And the MERG graph. Explain that one more time.
The MERG graph shows the time an AI can work autonomously on a complex task. It used to be seconds, then minutes. Now, with the Wes Roth example, it's hours. Soon it will be days.
And when an AI can work for a month on a problem without stopping, without sleeping, and without a human, that's a different species of worker.
It is. It's a non-human colleague.
So here is the final provocative thought for you listening. We are entering the centaur phase. Half human, half AI. But it might be a very short window.
It might be gone before we even get used to it.
If you want to build something, a business, a piece of art, a new reality, you have to do it now. This might be the last time in history where human agency is the bottleneck.
The barrier to entry has never been lower, but the ceiling is rising so fast. If you wait until the AI can do it all better than you can imagine it, you become a consumer.
Exactly. Are you a creator or just part of the muddle?
Don't get stuck in the muddle. That's the trap.
Don't just consume the future, go build it. Thanks for tuning in to this week's Deep Dive.
See you in the future.
Hello, everyone! Whoa! What's happening? Ah, it's hot! Help!